What's up, guys? For those who don't know, my name is Leonidas Johnson. I'm a libertarian conservative. I voted for Obama twice, unfortunately. Woke up around the time Mike Brown was shot in Ferguson, which I'll talk about here in a second. And I voted for Donald J. Trump in 2016. What I want to address today in this video is Candace Owens and Kanye West's new movement called Blexit. If you don't know what Blexit is, it's a play on Brexit, which was Britain's exit from the EU, right? And so Blexit is black people's exit from the Democrat Party. And let me tell you, if this movement is even 10% successful, 5% successful, the Democrat Party is done. Like, done. A relic of the past. You have to understand, the Democrats swear by identity politics, and they rely so much on the black vote that if they don't get it, that's it. I mean, they need almost every single black person to vote Democrat in order to even be competitive. And even then, they still lose. 2016, right? So they have to have the black vote or they can't exist. So the Democrats have every incentive to make sure that black people, number one, make race a priority in their lives. Number two, make sure that they see themselves as perpetual victims. Number three, make sure that the Republican Party is seen as the enemy, as being full of racists, right? And number four, propping themselves up as saviors of the African American. Add the tradition of black people voting Democrat simply because it was passed down from their parents or grandparents. And, the Democrats really have had a stronghold on the black community for a really long time. And if any of that goes away, they are in serious, serious trouble. And so when they come and they try to convince you that, Donald Trump is racist and all this other stuff, never mind that they loved him when he was a billionaire Democrat, right? But when they tell you these kinds of things, you have to think about motive. And you have to remember that they are doing this from a place of panic, not a place of concern for you, or even a concern for racism. They care only about what will be politically beneficial for them. That's it. And I first realized this was happening around the time, like I said, when Mike Brown was shot. Now, prior to this, I was part of the victim mentality and identity politics that Obama was pushing. But when Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson and Black Lives Matter really took off with the hands up, don't shoot, because the narrative was that he has his hands up, right? Which would be horrible if it were true. But then I noticed all the evidence coming in that contradicted the narrative. But the narrative didn't change. The media still ran with it. Black Lives Matter still ran with it. Hollywood celebrities still ran with it. And most egregiously, Democrat politicians, including Obama, still ran with it. And it was a lie. And that shook me. I found myself empathizing not with Mike Brown, an obvious thug who died of consequences of his own behavior, not even with his family, who attempted to exploit the situation for personal gain, which was disgusting. But it was with the police officer, Darren Wilson, who had his life destroyed because of a lie that all the powers to be were complicit in. That woke me up. Fast forward to the election, and I see how unfairly Trump was being treated. Now, I was rooting for Ben Carson, who is a personal hero of mine, then Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio after he dropped out. But Trump was the last person I would have voted for. I was worried about his abrasive personality and his diplomacy skills, to be honest. But I still recognize the outlandish attacks against him. I saw how the media covered for Hillary and how they shut out Bernie. WikiLeaks came out and they exposed deep corruption within the DNC, Hillary's campaign, and the mainstream media. Honestly, I can't believe that people have forgotten all about that. How did we just let that slide? That alone should have ended the Democrats, right? But, so then Trump got the nomination, and there were a lot of people who believed in him for good reason, and I voted for him. I lost a whole lot of friends. I've been called the worst names that you can think of. I've been told that I support rape, that I hate myself, that I have internalized white supremacy. What? It's crazy. And since then, the Democrats they've gone even more off the rails. And from Russian collusion to socialism to porn stars being reputable voices of reason, Antifa attacks, and those attacks being defended, disrespecting the flag, to celebrating abortion, to calling for harassment and violence against conservatives, the never-ending fake news cycle, the Kavanaugh witch trials, and people publicly stating their hatred for this country. It never ends. So it's not even a black issue. It's an American issue, because that's what we are, Americans. And what the Democrats are doing is decidedly anti-American, no matter what color your skin is. The further left they go, the less they love this country. And that is a serious problem. So, Blexit. I went to the Young Black Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. And we went to the White House, and President Trump spoke an inspiring message to us about grasping our futures and not allowing anyone to tell us what to think or who to be. It was great. And we had dynamic speeches from people like Stacey Dash and Brandon Tatum, Larry Elder, Ben Carson, Jason Whitlock, and Clarence Henderson, which, if you don't know who that is, he's one of the guys in the iconic Greensboro sit-in photo from the actual civil rights movement. And of course, the wonderful and intelligent Candace Owens. The summit got a lot of false press and a whole lot of hate. Al Sharpton, the most ridiculous clown on the face of this earth, said that we were being used as props by the president. Like, we're too stupid to make our own decisions. Like, they paraded us in there for some kind of photo op. Now, Charlie Kirk talked about this a little bit, but there was another time in history where black people weren't allowed to go to the White House and meet the president. And anyone who did was criticized and accused of being props. Sound familiar? Uncle Toms, coons, race traders, house slaves, props. All of us at the summit were called these names by white people and black people alike. And guess which party did this both times in history, Mr. Sharpton? Guess which party opposed abolition of slavery, started Jim Crow, and founded the KKK, Mr. Sharpton? And don't let them tell you the party switched. They didn't. That's a lie. I'll get into that in another video. But the Democrats have always been against black people. Always. Lyndon B. Johnson, a well-known and unapologetic racist, said he'd have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. He said that. And then he proceeded to implement policy that would decimate black communities. So Al Sharpton, I'll say this to you. You, sir, have always been against black people. How dare you question our intelligence and personal agency? You've been race hustling longer than most of us have been alive. You are a con artist and a fraud. You're obviously afraid because you feel your influence slipping away. You're afraid to lose it. And let me tell you something. You absolutely should be. But enough about that fool. Blexit. Candace Owens' brainchild, and Kanye helped design the logo, which, is pretty fantastic. And what Blexit represents is the ability to think for yourself. And like the president said, not allow anyone to tell you what you can or can't think or what you can or can't be. And we are walking away from that ideology, and we are all in a box, and we have to be whatever the box says we are. So while it is called Blexit, it is a movement for everybody of every skin tone and every background. Now, I personally believe that skin color is no more consequential to our identity than hair color or eye color. It helps make up who we are, but it does not define us. The sooner we learn that, the better. It is time to tell the Democrat Party that we've had enough. We will not be manipulated, and we will not be controlled. We are not going to fit into your little boxes anymore, or your little categories. We are breaking the chains, and we are walking off this plantation for good. We are Americans. We are united, and we are free. God bless our president. God bless this country. And God bless you. Take care.